Hello everybody out there in Speed Gaming land, and welcome to the Speed Gaming 2 presentation of the Link to the Past Randomizer League. This is the Open League Playoffs, Round 2, Game 1, co-op reference between Pass the Picanha, featuring James FNX and Tepidino, and Edwis Postcarius, aka Missing Horse, which is featuring Norsk Maddie and Divi Garrison today. I am Main DM. I'm joined on the call by Blue Link this evening. Blue Link, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Retros continues to be my favorite mode, and we've got some more of that lovely stuff here today.
This is a mode that I will admit is not necessarily my favorite thing in the world. It's not something that I'm hugely conversant with. I could muddle my way through a seed, but there's a reason why my teammates are playing this and I'm not.
Well, hopefully they will do you proud.
Yeah, hopefully they'll just make this one easy for me, and then we don't have to worry about it, right? Just, no, all the entrances are vanilla, and I can throw this entrance tracker right in the garbage, and everything will be fine.
Well, we're going to be underway in about 5 seconds. And here we go. Oh, half magic right away.
Half magic right away is a nice find. And Sank, because this is entrance rando, is right there at the castle. And it looks like some bombs were on offer for Garrison as well, so he's going to be able to check that back of escape relatively quickly. Tier 1 tree poles, 20 rupees. That's more interesting in this mode than in most, because this is retro. You're going to have to buy your arrows, you're going to have to buy a lot of your keys. Your arrows, when you want to shoot them, then cost more money. It's a very rupee-heavy mode.
That's for sure. You've, definitely, we've had situations where you spend a little bit of time getting silvers, and then you don't actually have the money to shoot the silver arrows.
Which I believe cost 50 a pop. They are not cheap. Looks like James has found the dam. I missed where he found the dam, but he did find it.
W. Garrison also getting some bomb drops there. Nice early bottle there in front of escape.
Interesting. James found one side of Hookshot Cave, a connector there. Also 4 chests once you've got the hookshot, or at least 1 chest once you've got the boots. Tepe and Maddie have found the front of the castle, and both seem to be working on various portions of it.
Tepidino down to half a heart here in the dark.
Yeah, at least in this mode you start with the sword, so you've got a better chance than normal of getting through, but yeah, once you've poked that first snake out of the way, you can kind of get into trouble in that room, and that is unfortunately exactly what happened to him. It's not the worst early death, but you never feel good. You're a couple of minutes into the seed, and already you're telling your partner, well, I didn't get that chest, I died. Okay, so that was Hyrule Castle West up here, huh? Interesting.
James also found the other end of Hookshot Cave at the tavern. That's kind of funny.
A very short connector. You're not going to be using that one as a connector, but it does mean that it's going to be relatively easy to get at those chests once you have the ability to do so.
Tepidino found a very easily accessible moon pearl here at Uncle, which is actually located at the lumberjack tree.
Yeah, that's a fine place to go and find things. Looks like he's going to go ahead and scout out the other exit to the front of Hyrule Castle. And James has found Thieves Town in the Kakariko Village shop. Garrison's going to walk right into that as well. And Hyrule Castle East spitting us out on Death Mountain today.
that could be very useful, actually.
Yeah, extremely helpful stopping off point, since there's a lot of jumping down that has to happen, and it looks like the Hyrule Castle entrances are relatively easily accessible, so even though you're going to have to do a bunch of that jumping down, at least you're going to have the ability to come back quickly. Also up there, the bomb shop.
Oh, that is going to be an adventure if we ever have to deliver that big bomb.
At that point, you're probably just hoping your flute is really easily accessible.
By the way, the bomb shop owner informing us that Eastern and Pod are our 2 5/6 crystals today. Suspiciously, they were the same in the last race I commentated. Alright, Mimic Cave was there at the bottom of East Staff Mountain. No hammer yet, unfortunately.
Again, because of the location of the castle, it's going to be relatively easy to come back to that. You get a hammer, you probably send your partner up there, depending. And it kind of depends on who's free at the moment. Oh, and James found Ice Palace in the Bomb Shack down in Southwest Village. Garrison finding a rupee cave there. Those can be convenient, and that's a reasonably convenient spot for one.
Here we have Mire Shed for James.
A heart right next to a big key, that seems like the kind of heart container that everybody's going to wind up getting, more likely than not. You're going to wind up in co-op situations where some of these heart containers are just going to be too out of the way. You tell your partner, well, I found a heart here, but yeah, you're never coming out this direction ever.
Yes, that heart container being next to the big key of Eastern Palace, which is very much required. So likely everyone will indeed be getting that heart, like you said.
Okay, so Desert Main up there in the row of houses. And James thinking about following that connector and says, not yet.
That entrance is vanilla, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's just some very weird non-Euclidean geometry going on. The bottom of Spiral Cave is also here in Kakariko.
Now everybody's found some desert, because Maddie's got Desert West over at the Fortune Teller at Hyley Island. But there's going to be a lot of running around in the early going here. There's a lot of communication going on between teammates, whether that be they're each keeping their own personal tracker and calling things out. There is a combined web tracker that is allowed for use. There are some teams I know that keep an online notepad of some variety handy, just to jot down where some things are.
So the right side of Desert just having 20 rupees, but at least it's kind enough to give back a key for the one it took.
Yeah, you spend a key, you get one back. You don't worry about it all that much. Now, what's really nice are the dungeons that can become key positive. Something like, say, Swamp Palace. Now, it used to be you go into Swamp Palace and, well, you need to come in with a key because there's that first key door, and then you keep getting a key and spending a key. But now with Spexy Statue, that hookshot clip early on in the dungeon, you can swipe that key if you really need an extra, and then just hookshot around the whole nonsense of flooding that room and save the key.
Yeah, and with keys being 100 rupees each, that can be quite a solid amount of savings. Speaking of purchasing keys, James just bought one. He also bought his arrows. You need to, of course, buy the ability to shoot arrows once you get the bow.
Tepe finding a shop, eyeballing the keys and the arrows and saying, well, what I really need right now are bombs. It seems that Tepedino and Maddie are the two players who are kind of going to be rupee poor, at least in the early going, while James and Garrison have hit the rupee route and are doing okay. We'll just use that term loosely because this mode gets expensive.
Okay, W. Garrison finding a sick kid and getting a key from him. Right, Garrison giving us a shovel check, and this is the flippers.
Alright, flippers are pretty good.
Okay, Ice Rod Cave is our sword, which is very nice to have.
Yep, there are, 4 total Take Any caves? 3 of them have the choice of a blue potion or a heart container, and the other one has that sword. That sword is what you're really looking for. And I did not catch what else James walked in and out of there really quickly.
Hopefully it wasn't important.
Probably not, and if it was, everybody will go back there eventually.
Alright, looks like James is about to pick up his flippers. Or not.
Or he's going to trot on by. I'm trying to remember. We've got the dam, which I'm pretty sure he's already seen, and a connector down. And then he remembers. I think he knows that. I think he knows what he's seen there and is going to go check that shovel first. Okay, so we had a connector come out at Desert Main entrance. Oh, that was that old lady connector. Got it.
That's particularly unhelpful.
Yeah, that one's not going to do anything for you. That's the kind of connector that you can just go ahead and mark off.
Also, if the book turns up, that's one less thing to check. Meanwhile, we have Super Bunny Cave here on Tepedino and Norskmati's side.
You get one whole key and 20% of another one. Ah, and the Hoarders have full magic. That's nice once you actually have anything that actually uses magic. For now, it's just kind of a nice thing to know about.
Alright, Ganon is hiding in the Lost Woods, yet again.
If I were Ganon, I feel like my chosen hiding place would be the Useless Fairy Rock. Because who expects to find the source of all evil just hiding under a random rock in northeast Hyrule?
Yeah.
Why would anyone ever look for you there?
You can just count on people forgetting and leaving. Tepedino is going to take the drop here in Speck Rock Cave. Oh, and Uncle also had Blue Mail, so that's a Moon Pearl and Blue Mail combo.
Makes life easy. And that other entrance that we had missed when James found it, Garrison walked into it. It's a nothing room. Don't have to worry about it.
Alright, so we are still looking for some kind of direction here. Tepetino gonna go pick up his flippers.
I'm starting to suspect what we're looking for here is some kind of a connector that goes to the Dark World, because we have that Moon Pearl, and nothing has really come of these Light World checks yet. We've gotten another sword, we've gotten the flippers, we've got the Moon Pearl, and the Moon Pearl seems to be the one big thing.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We also have yet to see either glove or the hammer.
Hence the need for a connector taking us where we want to go, unless the game wants to start being really generous all of a sudden, which it could. And there, Maddie finds one of those heart containers that you're going to tell your partner, well, I found it, but I'm not even getting it, and it's way too far out of the way for you to ever even think about. Sorry.
You know, I like this here by Norsk Maddie doing a houlihan before picking up the flippers, because it becomes very hard to do after you get the flippers.
Until you get your hands on the gloves, or alternatively, there is a strategy that you can use with the boots, but it's really uncommonly used, and a lot of people just aren't conversant with it.
Oh, James, that was unfortunate. He was on half a heart. He was going to bomb himself to do a death warp, but he picked up a heart container in Zelda's cell, and now he has to walk.
Yeah, gonna have to backtrack a few rooms to find one of the green guards that he left alive. He can finish his death warp there.
Our tracker Kif pointing out, speaking of the glove, I believe the camper had that glove. Tepedino and W. Garrison have both collected that.
Alright, that's one of those things that makes life a little easier. It's really more of a navigation aid at this point. You're gonna need another one or the hammer to kind of regularize your Dark World access, but at least for the moment, it lets you make a few more checks than you otherwise could.
Okay, well, our old man cave's starting point is at Waterfall Ferry. Not sure how useful that's going to be.
It seems unlikely to be helpful. It's still not a bad point to have once you have the flute. You can really quickly refill your health and step outside without having to go for a long walk.
So neither runner in the doing the flipper checks has money for Zora, but they did spy a small key on Zora Ledge and decided it was not worth their time.
That's an awfully long loop around for what's functionally 100 rupees. Maybe when you go back to actually get the Zora item, whoever does that grabs the key, since you're most of the way there already. But yeah, I understand I spying that and not having the rupees to pay the scam fish. Yeah, just go ahead and give it up.
Okay, Dark Cross was just 5 rupees, but Tepetino has checked out the back of Old Man Cave, and this takes us to the mire area.
Alright, now that is something new and exciting.
Vanilla Ether for the mire entrance. We've got the Quarreling Brothers connector here from W. Garrison, and that also takes us to the Dark World.
So, as suspected, we've got connectors leading us to the Dark World all of a sudden, and a whole slew of new checks we can make.
Tepetino and W. Garrison almost in perfect sync in opposite worlds for a moment there.
And then just turning in alternate directions, they have different plans. So far, we really haven't seen a lot in the way of big keys. Small keys are shuffled, but it's in the weird retro universal keys way. But big keys still go to their dungeons, and those are shuffled into the pool. And we have, what, the one for Eastern, and very technically the one for Hyrule Castle, which can't move.
Well, Tepidino decided he did want that heart container at the Lumberjack drop-down. Alright, James is about to find the same Dark World connector. And that there for Tepidino is a nice find. A bow at the Lost Woods drop-down, which is actually at the graveyard.
Yeah, that seems like the kind of thing that most runners are going to get to reasonably quickly once you get the glove. It's one of those things that the glove does unlock for you. But you never know.
If we ever find Eastern Palace, that is now full clearable for Tepidino.
Alright, the magic shop at another glove-locked check for Tepidino. Maddie right on top of that one as well. I suspect those two are routing in opposite directions, and Maddie is about to go land on that bow over at the Sanctuary drop here. Well, James is doing something that I've been waiting for a minute since those flippers came out and the glove, going over to the Dark Shopping Mall area.
And
where he finds
tower.
GT. Alright. Not a whole lot that you can do here yet. You can check Hope Room, and you can look at what's on the torch, but you need a hammer or the Cane of Samaria to really do more here.
So apparently W. Garrison, according to our tracker Kif, had seen the bow at the Sanctuary, and Norse Committee has just gone to pick it up.
As usual, shoutouts to our wonderful trackers, keeping us on point so that we can continue talking about the game.
Yes, we forgot to credit them at the beginning of this race, but they are our MVPs, and they are definitely proving it. So Pod and GT were right next to each other at Dark Shopping Mall. James FNX has, I can't tell if that's 3 or 5 keys.
I believe it's 3. Looks like he doesn't want to pursue it all that much further, knowing where the bow is.
Mystery Dark Room here as the third entrance. This looks like the Old Man Cave.
Yeah, this is the front of the Old Man Rescue. Which I suppose is fine insofar as it gets you, up onto Eastern Mountain. And then, yeah, that's really about all. It gets you the item, whatever the old man's holding. Which is pretty important.
And I think Tepidino is turning right around and leaving Pod.
Pod? What pod? We're not doing pod right now.
Meanwhile, Norse Committee is on his way to find the same cluster of interesting locations.
Yeah, we'll see if he can be tempted into a little more of pod before leaving. I suspect not. He seems to have a lower key count than the other two. Then again, maybe he'll just prove me wrong immediately. This will be fine. James walked in, thought about Spiral Cave, noped out immediately. Tepe walks in, thinks about Spiral Cave, takes a few steps, and then decides that it's not a good idea.
Alright, so James continuing to check some entrances here. The Spec Rock entrance was the top of Paradox Cave, so you have to imagine he's going to finish off this sequence of checks with that one.
Just wants to go ahead and see everything else first, that way he can follow that as a connector and get somewhere else.
Oh, this is interesting. Tepedino and James switching off.
Alright, let's see if Maddie's going to navigate the dark room or not. And no, he's going to say no to that, so that hammer is going to elude Ed was supposed to carry us for a minute. He at least wants to do a little more in pod first. Garrison has found Hera. I did not notice where he got this, but he was heading towards the pod area. So I have to imagine that it's maybe Roatrice.
Yeah, that big house or whatever in the pod area.
Oh, it's at Fake Pod. Got it.
Okay, a cape. If we find Bumper Cave, that could be useful.
I feel like we've seen one side of the bumper connector already. I forget who saw it, though.
Well, if that's the case, I probably didn't recognize it. Okay, chat confirming we have seen Bumper.
Tepedino's up on top of the castle. I did not catch which connector brought him here. Spiral, I would assume? Or maybe one of the
Paradox
connectors
entrances.
Paradox? Alright.
Garrison being the only one with the lamp right now, checking out the basement of Hera, but it's just a piece of heart. Right, the hammer unlocks the well at the Smith's drop-down, or the Magic Bat drop-down, I guess. James is getting 5 items there. So, Norsk Matty has the bow, but he didn't buy arrows yet, so he's going to have to mimic clip. And he appears to be making progress.
It's tough to tell since he has the mimic hidden under his magic bar and his Y item indicator, but we'll assume that this is going okay. Yeah, there it goes.
Very nice, smooth moonwalk by that mimic. Also, apparently, Norsk Matty found the net somewhere.
And Tepedino's going to head back over to the pod and GT area here. I don't know which one he's going to do first, but I rather expect that both of them are at least somewhat on the menu here. Pod probably first, if only because without the hookshot, you're going to rely on a bunch of technically out-of-logic bomb jumps to do anything in GT behind that hammer.
Okay, Garrison found Eastern, but is leaving because he does not have the bow. But not dipping it either.
That's reasonable. You've got the big key. You want to just go ahead and do it at one shot. You know where it is. And James, in one of the dungeons where at least most of it you know where it is, the majority of Skullwoods has to live within Skullwoods because of reasons. Skullwoods back doesn't, the actual boss area, but the rest of it you can wander around up here, and whether it's a good layout or a bad one, you may have to take a drop down or two, but you can get everything that's in the front. Doesn't seem like Dark Basement did a whole lot for Matty there, except pad his rupee count, and padding your rupee count is not terrible in this mode.
Okay, the Thieves Town Big Key in Harmless Hellway. We have found Thieves Town. That was at Kakariko.
Yeah, finally another big key. It has been a while now. That's going to help pass the Picanha more than it's going to help Ed was supposed to carry us, at least for the moment, because they've yet to rescue the old man and acquire the hammer, which is going to leave one check in Thieves undoable for them. Now, James has gotten to Benny Moldorm Cave here. I think maybe we saw this earlier? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Junk, junk. Ooh, nope, we definitely didn't, because there's a big key to Turtle Rock. Alright.
Also the big key of GT turning up in Dark Maze for Norse Matty.
Yeah, technically you can get to that check logically. You could... Well, no, you couldn't, because you're still going to need access to one side or the other. So a hook shot or a Cane of Samaria now will make that key more useful.
Oh, everybody's favorite, a mystery big key up on Bumper Ledge.
And realistically, you probably just come out of a connector at some point and get that, but sometimes that connector is really squirreled away and you get to a point where you're looking for a big key, and so instead of hunting for item locations, you know that big key is there and you start hunting connectors instead.
Oh, James has found Turtle Rock East.
Alright, that's not a terrible entry point to Turtle Rock. You can head in both directions from there, but not really something that he wants to do just yet, apparently.
And Garrison, now having that bow, is going to go full clear Eastern. So I believe Norse Committee just found the exit of the Old Man Rescue Cave, but unfortunately doesn't know it.
No, he did. He rescued him.
Wait, he did?
I think he just walked back
he's got
into
the
it
hammer.
on... Yeah, I think he walked back into it on sheer reflex because you're up on the mountain all of a sudden. You should check all the caves.
Okay, that is very important for Ed was supposed to carry us, knowing where that hammer is now. That gives them proper Dark World access as well.
It does seem like the connectors are doing a pretty decent job of preserving the Dark World access for the runners, so it's not like Ed was supposed to carry us really lost a whole lot of time being a little later to that hammer. It's just an advantage that Picanha has had for a while. And thus far, I think the real difference is going to be if Tepidino can carry a key through here to the boss. Oh wait, they don't have the big key, so never mind. It's not really going to matter even in pod. Alright, fair enough. It's just a potential advantage that was negated over the course of time.
Alright, the Dark Potion Shop is the front door of Turtle Rock. James is going to continue on to Catfish. Ah, there was the net. It was in Stolfos' basement.
Yeah, unfortunately or not, the entrance to Turtle Rock is really only useful right now as a magic or potential bomb refill. Without the Cane of Samaria, there's not really anything you can do there. James getting no joy from Catfish, and now he thinks about backtracking and then thinks better of it.
The Desert Palace big key turned up somewhere for Tepidino, but that was just a compass there in the big chest.
The Desert Palace Big Key was in the Vanilla Big Key location of Pod, so a rich
lovely.
Vanilla Big Key, supposedly.
Okay, so I'm guessing James does not have that one and Tepidino does. And Garrison into the Armos fight. Shooting 10 rupees into the wall there, but getting it done gets a small key and the first crystal of this race at just under 36 minutes.
It didn't seem like Eastern was all that interesting in the grand scheme of things, but you pull down one of those 5-6 crystals. It's always nice to get a crystal on the board. You're halfway to opening up one more location check with that Pyramid Fairy entrance. It's alright, 36 minutes in an entrance mode with Key Sanity. I am mildly surprised that Maddie is not taking that Hammer and Thievestown Big Key combo and heading for Thievestown.
Yeah, that is something that is very much available right now.
And that's exactly where Tepe's headed. He says, "Alright, I've got things, thieves. Let's go for it."
A very welcome wad of cash there for Tepidino. Alright, Garrison gonna find disappointment at Catfish. James is about to pick up his lamp.
Now, maybe that was the most convenient shop Maddie knew about to replenish his small key count. And Garrison's going to do the same thing that James did, except he's going to carry the play even further. He's going to walk back out from Catfish.
Alright, Norskmeti is done with the well. Let's see what he does now.
My guess is that he's going to join Tepidino in the back of Thievestown here.
It looks like it.
Alright, and Garrison not walking all the way back out. He wants to use that Whirlpool and head down to Dark Flute 8 and head back to Pod GT area. Okay. That's actually more sensible than I was expecting.
Which one of these are your teammates again?
Yeah, I am the third member of Ed was supposed to carry us.
Ah, okay.
Now, PH, one of our trackers, is the third member of Pass the Picanha.
Oh, that's lovely.
So we've got a bit of a full team affair here.
So you can trash talk and he can't respond to you live. Okay.
Which is why I'm just ragging on my own teammates. That seems fair, right? They're not here to defend themselves either.
Chat is telling us that when James stepped into mire about half a minute ago, it was in fact a crystal. And the tracker is showing that.
Alright, so that's another big key that we're going to need. We're very certain now that we're going to need Cane of Samaria. Not that that should be any particular surprise. That's more common than it isn't. So we've got the 2 in Thieves. It looks like James is going to check the Vanilla Pod entrance. Garrison heading for the Dark World at 3. Alright. But Tepe is about to put some dungeon prize on the board. We don't know what Thieves Town is just yet.
And if his stream doesn't come back quick, we may not know. Oh, nope, we're good. It is his first crystal of this race. Once again, I missed where the entrance to Eastern was, but James is now here to full clear it.
Yeah, it's less important that you and I know where it is, and more important that the 2 teams know where it is. And it seems that both of them have been communicating pretty well about this is where things are, that this is what you need, this is what you don't. It's enough of a challenge to follow 4 people when you know where all of the entrances are. When you don't, it can become a little bit hectic. Just a little.
Just a little, yeah.
Maddie also into this blind fight, seems to be staying on script, and in fact does so. Going to take that crystal.
That is his first crystal of the race.
And when James finishes off Eastern Palace here, everybody's going to have 1, so the teams will be tied 2 crystals apiece out of the 14 required.
Chat reporting that Desert Palace is a pendant. Someone did a map check just 10 seconds ago or something.
Garrison scratching and clawing his way through Mummy's statue room. I'm pretty sure that... Pretty sure it was James who was up there and probably has that, but just in case, it was a big key to Swamp Palace.
Always nice to have that before having to go to Swamp.
Yep, you've got the big key already. You don't have to worry about the small key because those are universal. You've got the flippers. We've already found the dam. And Maddie's going to prod around in the entrances. Yep, that's exactly where Tepidino's leaving.
And that was the big key to Ice Palace. Could be required.
Another one of those nice things to have before you go to the dungeon.
Right, Garrison also finding East Turtle Rock and noping out.
Maddie checking Peg House there in Vu, not finding anything particularly interesting. Going to check the brewery. Just another one of our take-inies. He opts for the heart over the blue potion. Maddie's ready for a lamp, and James is ready for a fight. We're going to spend 180 or 190 rupees, depending on whether or not we send a stick to the wall, and we do. Okay, spare 10 rupees for the wall. And that's going to even up the total crystal count between these two teams.
Right, Tepetino picking up a heart container, going to 8 hearts. Norsk Matty got his lamp. Garrison found Mini Molarm Cave, picking up his Turtle Rock Big Key and some assorted other things. And Tepetino is going to be the 4th one to pick up the lamp here.
It really is one of those comfort items, especially in this where you've got some dark connectors just floating around out there. Sure, you could memorize them, but unless you're a real entrance regular, you probably haven't. And even when you have, there are a lot of situations where it's faster to just be able to walk rather than hold the sword out and follow the sparklies. Looks like James and Maddie are on the same path at the moment. So we're following the Hyrule Castle Main to Hyrule Castle East connector again.
This will take us to the top of East Death Mountain. There should be some things to do over there.
Yeah, that's where Bumper was. There's the bomb shop's over there, but we don't have Pod yet, so that's not going to help.
James is opting to go west to check the Hera entrance. Meanwhile, Norsk Matty can now get whatever is in Mimic Cave.
Ah, Spike Cave. And he's going to say no to it. Interesting. He's got the cape and the half magic and the hammer. I'm rather surprised that James is turning his nose up at that check.
That is interesting. I mean, I guess it's a pain to get back out of, and he wants to do these other checks first, but is it really faster to walk there and back again? I don't know.
I feel like once you've already walked all the way across that bridge, it's probably faster to just fake flipper back to that Hyrule Castle to top of mountain connector to come do this drop down. That's just a guess, though.
Well, Garrison is doing some out-of-logic poking around in Turtle Rock, having done a bomb jump to get across the barrier there at the eastern entrance. Red mail's nice to have, I guess. Tepetino putting that ether to good work to check the Mire entrance.
See if anything interesting comes out of that one. Looks like Maddie's headed back for the Pod and GT area.
Well, Mire entrance is just the library with 20 rubies. I was about to say 20 arrows, but no, it's 2 arrows.
an entire order of magnitude fewer of arrows. Very unfortunate.
In astrophysics, we wouldn't care too much about that kind of discrepancy.
So Maddie wants to come back and have a look at the vanilla big key location here. Going to be rewarded with a big key to a dungeon that we've learned is a pendant.
Lava chest not having anything useful.
Here are some bombs. For your use of out-of-logic bombs, Tepe gets shot and decides to save and quit.
You know, having the lamp now and the desert big, desert is clearable, or land modes at least are beatable. Well, no, we've cleared the rest of desert. So yes, desert is clearable. Chain chomp's also not worth the time.
And now Garrison's going to follow this as a connector.
Oh, that's interesting.
Ah, the big key to Meyer at that.
A very required big key to Meyer.
And he's going to go ahead and make sure that that gets marked down, tell Maddie, okay, I found this. We would need a mirror to check the other side, so let's not forget where it is.
So swamp's a pendant, ice is a crystal.
Interesting that Maddie is following the old man rescue connector in full again. I guess it does get you where you want to go, maybe? Much emphasis on maybe?
Okay, Garrison finally gonna give us a look at the scamfish.
I'm not sure how recently he's on a save and quit, but this more than most modes is the kind of time where you would like to be able to save scum your money back.
That's probably not worth it.
Yeah, looks like he's just gonna hang on to it and come and get this small key and call it okay. James, having the lamp down here in the Dark U basement, is going to make sure that he gets just as many rupees as he can possibly stand.
You really can never have enough in this mode.
There's that Thieves' Town big key for James. He knows he needs that. That is, in fact, a crystal dungeon that his partner in crime has already defeated.
I don't recall if he got the desert big while he was in here as well. He's going for the GT big for sure. Tepidino is going to suffer through Spike Cave. He does have the cape. That's good.
That is a lot of work for a Maptipod.
Okay, so James is going back for the desert big. Norris Commatti is now going to give us our first clear of desert. It is a pendant, but of course there is one item to check on landmodes.
Yeah, it's a pendant. His HUD is telling him that it's a pendant, and he's going here anyway. Could just be one of those times where you start to have suspicions. And this will probably be some kind of a hammer master sword fight. I wouldn't really expect to see Maddie go all out with NMG style arrow strats here.
I would hope not. Okay, Tepatino has found Castle Tower. I did not see where that was.
Yeah, up on Dark Death Mountain, apparently. Garrison working on the keys out of Palace of Darkness here.
Yes, thank you again to our trackers for keeping track of all this stuff. So that was just a vanilla heart container on landmodes, but it is the green pendant. Of course, we have yet to find Saha, I think.
Well, perhaps more to the point, if we found him, I missed it.
Also, rather unfortunately, Tepatino did not have a small key to go get the second check in Castle Tower.
Yeah, again, that's one of the challenges in this mode, where you have to keep track of your key count rather than having your tracker say, oh, well, you've got 3 keys to Palace of Darkness. It's your HUD says you have this many keys, and your tracker's not necessarily going to reflect that.
So we are approaching the 1 hour mark. We're still looking for some direction here. It doesn't seem like either team has much of an advantage over the other, except that Misery Mire big key for Ed was supposed to carry us.
I suspect that past the Picanha is going to follow that connector and find it eventually. Again, Garrison did that out of logic with a bomb jump. It's not the worst thing in the world to try and stay in logic to some degree in a mode like this, because it can keep you from chasing things that the game doesn't really intend you to have yet.
Yes, that is for sure. It's just a little interesting that we have found both Ice Palace and Mire. We have both of their big keys, but we can't get past the front door of either dungeon.
Yeah, there are certain things that are in fact missing here. One of them's a horse, but in this case you're going to need either the boots or the hookshot for Mire and some kind of a melt source for ice. Maddie getting the bad news that the library was the thing locked behind Ether there and that the prize is not worth. But Tepe is going to give us some new information.
This is certainly something. It is in logic, right? But it's definitely a time investment.
It is in logic, and it is in fact a time investment, but it could in fact yield quite a bit. We've got the 4 items on it. I'm not sure what drop we don't still have.
I don't recall seeing Magic Bat.
I was going to say it was either Magic Bat or Useless Fairy, so yeah, that seems likely. Our trackers will probably confirm that one for us.
Yeah, sometimes I get mixed up between those two caves, which, if the locked door is on the left or the right. Okay, Garrison has found Castle Tower, and he does have a key to go further.
He's having a little trouble convincing these ball and chain guards to go where he wants them to go, though. He should have just stayed at the door, and instead he kind of wandered into the room, and so they were no longer synced up. Tepe's working on the gauntlet here, having a pretty good Master Sword gauntlet.
Putting that cape to good use, because
That's one of the dangers of co-op more generally, is that your health level doesn't always come up to the amounts that you might expect if you were playing a seed solo.
Alright, so James on his way to Landmos 1, while Tepetino is fighting Landmos 2.
It seems thematically appropriate there, if nothing else.
That hammer hitbox is just making me feel bad.
I think the hammer hitbox was just designed to make players feel bad. Ooh, Tepe needs to be careful here. Down to a heart. He's going to get the cape back out and go back to sword slashes. It'll take a little longer, but it is substantially safer. That Medusa statue down in the bottom left-hand corner of the room there is very good at causing problems.
Okay, so it was the Turtle Rock West exit that led to the ledge with the Misery Mire big key.
Alright, this is interesting. Garrison has decided that now is the time to clean up thieves. I'm not sure if this is just where he was on the route. But I don't recall anything particular coming out of the back of this dungeon.
I believe you're right. Alright, that's green pendant for James.
And Tepedino's playing this very safe, using the boomerang to stun those guards rather than just trying to play games with them, using the Ether Medallion on Wizrobes. Without the Cane of Samaria, it makes a lot of sense. The room doesn't really get nice unless you have something convenient to use on it, Cane of Samaria being best, but there are some other options, and Ether's a pretty good one.
Okay, the stun prize being a heart is actually very useful for Tepedino right now.
A good use of the game knowledge there, getting back to full hit points. And having put in the time, he's very nearly to the goods. Finally, the 4 checks. It takes a long time to get up here, but once you do, everything else comes pretty quick.
So Norse Matty is going to follow him on the way up here. The mitts! So the mitts do give us a couple of locations we can check, not terribly many. But any one of those could be the answer at this point.
Mostly it's going to unlock a lot of the Dark Death Mountain checks for the runners.
And Tepedino not having a hook shot, and I guess not... I don't know how Moldor bouncing works at all, but whatever it is, he didn't attempt it.
Well, the problem with Moldorm bouncing is Moldorm has to be alive for it to work, but
Oh,
Moldorm has
yes.
to be dead for the chest to spawn.
Very good point. I'd completely forgotten that.
No, if you'd found the boots and you could hover, then you have a way to both kill the worm and acquire the chest and get across the gap to get it. But yeah, Moldorm bouncing, that is the downside to that particular trick. There's Garrison taking a second crystal, the only runner of the four to have 2 crystals at the moment. James is working on these checks in Turtle Rock that Garrison has already made. Matty's slowly working his way towards those mitts, and let's see where Tepidino is going now. I'm expecting that he's going to use that Hyrule Castle connector up to the top of the mountain, and he's going to then enter the Dark World, probably at Turtle Rock for maximum checks.
That would make the most sense.
You could hop in at Super Bunny, but there's not really a good reason to.
Alright, Landbow 2 down for Norse Committee.
It did seem that he got through that a little more efficiently than Tepidino did. Tepidino had to get into the Cape Strats and ended up using a green potion to get through that fight, but again, it's a whole lot faster to get to the checks the first time than have to redo the first half of the climb. I will say that I like Tepidino's use of ether in these Wizro brooms a lot more than things that Matty's been trying to do to them. 4 cycling with the sword is not quick.
Alright, so we have a vanilla Quake requirement for Turtle Rock entrance. Oh, here's Saha.
There's our
Mad Tepidino
friend.
doesn't have the blue boat, the green pendant.
Yeah, locked away behind, also doing the the GT climb. It's going to work out a little better for Ed was supposed to carry us because Matty is going to be the first one with the mitts and is going to be the one who has the green pendant.
Yeah, that is very true.
Alright, and that's a connector, and Tepidino is going to say yes, so we'll find out where it goes. It's entirely possible that he's looking for the connector that takes him to that big key on top of Bumper Ledge.
Interestingly, James did he not pick up the Meyer Big while he was in Turtle Rock? Or go to the west exit?
I don't think he did. Oh, well, that's a fun little loop.
Very funny.
Connectors like that can be entertaining sometimes. I certainly have a clip of a friend of mine whose team unfortunately just exited in the second round, Shinmaru, where he walked. I think he was in Dark Shopping Mall. He may have been in the Ice Rod Cave area, but either way, he walks in one side. He sees Hookshot Cave. He goes in. He thinks about following the connector. Decides not to because he wants to see the other things in the area first. Walks over to the other entrance and walks right in the other side of Hookshot Cave.
That is a special kind of funny.
It was an instant classic. The pause when he walked in the second side, he's like, wait. Alright, Matty, it looks like, having acquired the mitts, is now going to go ahead and at least perform one bomb jump, going to get those 4 checks. Speaking of bomb jumps, Tepidino is going to wait out this wall master and has found the back of Skull Woods down on the lower Dark Death Mountain and going to use the lamp to go ahead and get through here. This is a much easier bomb jump than it looks like. You just line yourself up with that wall there, wait out the wall master, and then step right, put the bomb down, and just proceed as normal.
Right, James is now into the GT climb as well. Everyone going for those mitts, which are certainly what we need.
It's the kind of thing that unlocks checks, and right now it feels like both teams are a little low on those.
Very nice Master Sword Mothula fight from Tepetino. He is going to get a 20 rupee bounty for his troubles and a crystal. That is his second.
Interesting. Matty not going to flipper over to that Hyrule Castle connector and get up to the top of the mountain. He's getting into the Dark World at 4 instead.
Oh, maybe he's changed his mind.
Yeah, maybe he's changed his mind, and that could be one of those things where you've got the teammate communication, that Garrison and Matty, and then James and Tepe are in 2 different voice calls, and you're talking to your teammate while you're doing this, so that you can pass on information where things are. Okay, this is what I'm thinking about doing next. How do we want to split up this next section of checks? And it's very likely that Matty was saying, well, I'm going to go check whatever he was thinking about checking, and Garrison said, follow the mitts, go up the mountain, and do those things.
Okay, well, Tepetino is going to collect his green pendant. Oh, James died to Landmo's 2.
Oh no.
That is an unfortunate time loss.
Landmo 2, and particularly that Medusa statue, that fireball shooter in that room, really not treating past the Picanha well. And it's not just the time loss, it's also now you're going to have to spend a bunch more money in the form of arrows to get back through these first couple of mimic rooms.
Well, looks like the green pendant was just a joke after all.
Yeah, so no harm, no foul with Tepe not being the first one up there. Alright, Matty's going to opt for this connector.
Yep, he's going to get trolled immediately after getting trolled by the green pendant turn-in. I don't remember if we saw what was on Floating Island. I mean, no, we did see it. I don't remember what it was on Floating Island.
I do not recall off the top of my head either, but without a mirror, it's not really something that's going to become a cause for concern just yet. And at least it's relatively easy to get to in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, James had a red potion this entire time. That can't feel good.
No, that's And it's not uncommon for people to say, I want to hang on to my safety until the last possible second. Well, holding on to the last possible second before is all well and good, and then you run into the situation where you wait until the second after, and that doesn't work nearly as well, unless you have a ferry, in which case it's less of a problem.
Okay, floating island was just a small key.
I'm going to have to give Maddie the business for this one. The Ether Medallion is a whole lot more efficient than hammers or Master Sword spins or whatever nonsense you're trying to do to these Gyptos.
Hammer pegs leading to Blind's Hut. 5 checks in here.
Yeah, another thing locked behind the mitts. There's Tepe getting the information that Saha didn't have anything particularly interesting. Oh, the red cane, though. That does a little more.
And the powder. Okay. Oh boy, the Skullwood's big key. That's a bit of a fetch quest.
At least Skull Woods is relatively easy to get to. You just walk over there, walk into the portal, and there you are. James is on past the difficult part here. Oh no, but he's forgotten something else important. He does not have a fire rod, and he's going to have to go to all the trouble of lighting this torch the old-fashioned way.
You know, I hope for Pasta Picanha's sake that they don't have to come back to GT again in this race. They can just leave and be done with it. Alright, James about to get his mitts. North Commodity has taken down Mothula for his second crystal, and Garrison is beelining that Skullwood's big chest.
Garrison, not a subscriber to the spin/slash setup for bomb jumps, and you could see where he backed right into the pit there. But the Tempered Sword is a pretty good reward for that. Knowing where a third sword is, it's going to make the remainder of the game substantially easier. I don't know if it's on the way enough that Matty actually goes and gets that, though.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Well, no. I think it is, and that you have to stop and remember what else was in the cave where that Skullwood's big came from. Cane of Samaria is incredibly required. We have to beat Misery Mire at the very least. We don't know about Turtle Rock yet, but since you have to have the red cane anyway, you're going to be in the same general area with that key. And yeah, at that point, I feel like you're close enough.
So one of those Samaria checks being the Turtle Rock big chest, just a compass. Without the fire rod, there's still one more check we can get at the front of Turtle Rock, but I don't think anyone's inclined to walk all the way to the Dark Potion Shop right now.
It looks like Garrison is just maybe planning to... Oh no, he's going to 4-track to Laser Bridge. Alright. That makes more sense.
That is actually a great idea. I forgot Laser Bridge existed somehow.
Yeah, it's one of those entrances where we just haven't seen it yet. It could come out at something that we don't really have access to. It could be a boots locked check, maybe. It could be the Light World bumper ledge area. But in any event, what it is 4 checks that Garrison's about to come get, and maybe there's something else interesting there.
Yeah, it makes sense going for these more dense locations, because progression's got to be somewhere.
Garrison getting 1.0'd with laser eyes.
Oh, he wants to... Oh, that's clever. Good thinking.
Yep, and I understand that because you don't know where this is going to come out, but you have a really limited number of places where it could be that don't immediately harm you by not letting you back in. Having full health before chancing laser bridge makes a lot of sense.
And with only one pendant still on the loose, we're probably going to need to open that door anyway, so it's not really a waste of a key, most likely.
Alright, Tepidino has also found Blind's hideout, going to get the bounty of things here.
Actually, come to think of it, I think it's just down to Hera and Turtle Rock for our last pendant, so it's 50-50 actually.
And now let's see where Laser Bridge goes. Ah, alright, that's why it was inaccessible. You could have turned back around. But the chances that it was that, or maybe one or two other things that you could walk back into versus all of the bonk checks that you really couldn't, it made a lot of sense the way Garrison did that.
Yeah, I agree. The unfortunate part of Tepidino not having a key the first time he was in Castle Tower means James is going to have to invest a little time doing that right now.
Looks like he was semi-intentionally taking damage off of that ball and chain guard. He wants to be able to death warp back out of here and continue on his merry way. And Tepe, perhaps unsurprisingly, going to go ahead and beeline that Skullwood's big chest check.
So, here we are an hour 20 in. We still have no boots, no flute, no mirror. Hookshot is also something we need. I think. Or no, Swamp's Pendant.
It is blocking a lot of checks in Hookshot Cave, which we saw really early and have not been able to get back to. And we're either going to need that or the boots to get in through the entrance of Misery Mire.
Yes, it is certainly unfortunate in that 2 crystal dungeons are completely locked right now.
That was a big key to the Tower of Hera that W. Garrison just pulled out of the front of Turtle Rock.
Okay, that makes a couple more checks accessible. And once we clear Hera, we'll know where our last pendant is. Oh, chat with another good point that Cane of Samaria gives us access to Tile Room in GT for 1 in-logic check, and then we could do some bomb jump tricks to go to Compass Room and get 4 more.
We could. The timing on that is already really tight when you have a hookshot and the boots. When you have neither of those things, I sure wouldn't want to chance it. That sounds like a really good way to throw away a lot of time.
That is also a very good point I hadn't thought of. Well, as frustrating as it might be, scrambling around looking for your progression somewhere, having 2 complete dungeons locked out, or being locked out of 2 dungeons right now is actually probably a good thing because it reduces the amount of things you have to check.
And I'm sitting here staring at the tracker because I feel like we have full pendant crystal knowledge now. Between the teams. I don't know that either team has full knowledge on their own, but I think that Picanha knows that Ice is a pendant, and I think that Ed was supposed to carry us knows that Swamp is a pendant.
I think Ice being a pendant is a mistake. It's supposed to be Swamp.
Okay, that would also make sense.
Alright, so it just seems like Ed was supposed to carry us is just a little bit ahead past the Picanha. Past Picanha is just getting to these new for them checks that Ed's team has sort of already done. And of course, Garrison has now picked up that mirror in Hera and is about to beat up Moldorm and find out our final pendant crystal knowledge. Silvers, that's nice. And it's a crystal, so free silvers today. Okay.
Yeah, free silvers are nice. You're certainly not going to turn them down. Looks like everybody's at least in decent shape to be able to use them. Maybe Maddie is a little low. I'm not sure if that's a 1 or a 7. Or a 4. It could be a 4.
It looks like a 4 to me.
Okay, we'll go with 4, in which case everybody can fire off 4 silver arrows if they really have to. So what we're still looking for at this point, we're going to have to find the Palace of Darkness big key. And the melt source. And some way into Mire, be that hookshot or boots.
So we may never see the flute at this rate. We are not going to need the ice rod, and if we find Bombos, I don't think we actually need the fire rod then.
Seems reasonable, and Garrison is immediately going to mainline these mirror checks.
Makes sense when you've cleared so much of the rest of the game.
The mirror is the one thing that really gives you new information right now. There's James finding that Mire big. And neither team has access to Mire yet because no boots and no hookshot, so this is just as timely as anything. Ah, there's the other side of Bumper.
Tepidino acquiring the Hera Big Key. That's his next piece of progression.
It looks like there was a little crosstalk there from Missing Horse, but both runners were heading through the back of the mountain connector there, trying to head for that mirror check in the Mire area. Alright, so where's Garrison going in the light world here? And it looks like Maddie's just hitting all of the all of the take any caves. By far the healthiest of the 4 runners at this point. Yep,
Right,
Tepe is going to do Tower of Hera, which makes a lot of sense, and it looks like James is going there as well. So I think that Past the Picanha has reached that point where they know that whatever their next progression is, it's here, so everybody just has to rush it.
Alright, looks like Garrison is checking out Graveyard Ledge. Norsk Maddie's going back through Hyrule Castle to somewhere else.
This will
this
get
would be
him
the
back
top
up
of
onto
Death
the mountain. Maybe it will actually have a look this time and see what's on Floating Island, since now with that mirror, whatever it is accessible.
I think it was just a small key. Garrison has found Hype Cave. There are the boots.
Ah, mire access. That's a thing.
And the book. Lovely.
Yeah, the book just gives us a couple of checks. Not really going to change a whole lot, I don't think.
Alright, so this is going to be Spike Cave for Norsk Maddie. Garrison can also check King's Tomb with those conveniently located boots.
Tepe and James both about to be rewarded with their silver arrows and their crystal out of Tower of Hera.
And the... Wow! So the boot's locking the hookshot. So that's
Yeah.
a full clearable mire. It also gives us 4 more checks in Hookshot Cave, like you mentioned earlier.
And then, strangely enough, there is the possibility that we're just intended to get into Swamp Palace all of a sudden.
You know what would be a lovely place to find Swamp? It would be on the Light World bumper ledge, because we have the mirror now.
That would, in fact, be a place for it. At this point, if you're the runners, you're kind of just hoping that that's at the GT entrance, though, locked away behind 7 crystals, and you never have to worry about it, but never mind. Garrison found it.
Yeah, he's going back in. No, he's out.
There's a lot of thoughtful consideration that goes into this.
Because, I mean, Hookshot Cave isn't too far away from here, but no, he's going in, okay. I mean, either decision is decent, I think.
Yeah, that's probably another one of those crosstalk moments, and what it's going to turn out to be is Garrison's going to do this while Maddie goes and does Hookshot Cave after picking up the required items. Because if Garrison can get into the back of this fast enough, he can tell Maddie whether or not he actually has to get that hook shot. And this is apparently also going to be Maddie's chance to go ahead and pick up this tempered sword.
So Garrison is doing Specky, but didn't stop to pick up the extra free small key.
Yeah, as you're still key neutral in here, you're just not key positive. So since he still had one at that point, it's not as though he really needed to stop off for it.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. And besides, we've cleared out most of Pod that is the hungriest dungeon for small keys.
Yeah, most of Pod also, I guess, we've still got... Well, somebody did some bomb jumping in GT, so maybe we don't need to spend all that many keys in GT either.
You know, there are a lot of awful places that our last couple of items could be.
And Garrison's heading for a couple of them right now. Garrison setting up for some diver down action here. James is going to go get his crystal out of Skull Woods at this point, and Tepe is about to land on the boots and the hookshot. Ooh, James almost found the Wallmaster there.
That's boots for Tepidino.
And very shortly the hookshot, there's James getting through that torch puzzle.
The left side swamp doesn't have anything we need.
It's only mildly surprising. It feels like there's still enough left that it didn't have to.
Oh, for sure. Alright, hookshot for Tepidino.
I think one more good slash gets this moth for James, but his hearts are starting to get into a questionable state. Nope, there it is. Moth down. That is crystal number 3 for James F and X. So 3 apiece. All 4 runners have 3 crystals to their name.
Matty making the perfectly reasonable decision to clear out Meyer. It's a required crystal, and you might find what you're looking for just in here.
Yeah, meanwhile, Garrison is just getting more and more disappointment out of the back of Swamp Palace, is heading for the boss with nothing to show but the time that he spent in the dungeon.
Tepidino is really taking the Smith on a tour.
One Smith seeing the world like never before.
Oh, just a useless shop up on Light World Bumper Ledge.
Garrison with a couple of spins is going to put phase 2 away. We'll see if Swamp was anything but a gigantic waste of time. And it was a gigantic waste of time. Alright, here's Hookshot Cave. Hookshot Cave has been outstanding for quite some time. The Smith is apparently a master hoverer.
Nope, Hookshot Cave isn't it either.
Yeah, literally nothing there. The game said, here's this location, you've seen it really early, now you've got the hookshot, you want to go get things, and Garrison's about to get exactly the same disappointment that Tepidino just got.
And Norsk Matty just found the fire rod in cutscene chest in Meyer, so going for the required dungeon was the play after all. Of course, we still need the pod big.
I do suspect that we're going to see Garrison getting into Meyer here fairly shortly, because that's looking like the next piece of the puzzle. All of a sudden it unlocks Ice Palace and you have 8 more locations where your Palace of Darkness big key could be. It also finally gives you real logical access to the right side of Ganon's tower, that torch puzzle that locks away Compass Room. Interesting. Garrison opting for a red potion there.
You know, this could be Tepidino dropping off the Smith and then going straight to Meyer.
It's entirely possible.
And it looks like James has been assigned Swamp Palace.
Again, it's that co-op split up the checks kind of thing, and it makes a lot of sense that division of labor, you get more checks done more quickly. It's just unfortunate that now Picanha is going to give that time back that Garrison spent in Swamp, that now James is going to spend it as well.
Yep, this is indeed Meyer. Norsk Maddie just tanking some damage boost strats here and doing spins on the little eyes. Ouch, that was some expensive arrow shooting.
Yeah, those were some expensive misses.
And Butterstick.
Well,
James is just saving quit out of Swamp.
Alright, interesting. I wonder if that was past the Picanha deciding that let's just go ahead and get into the clearable crystal dungeon now. We can worry about checking Swamp for something else later if it comes to that.
Oh, the flute was also in Meyer. Cool, thank you, chat.
I don't know how much that really changed. Garrison is dead in Meyer somewhere.
I'm gonna think that wasn't intentional.
I don't think so.
Oh, James is going to Ganon's tower.
Alright, that's also an entirely reasonable play. Go ahead and make at least a couple of checks there. Now that you've got the boots and the hook shot, if he's conversant with that bomb jump over on the right-hand side, he can clean out the entirety of the rest of the basement.
It will be a little funny when or if Tepidito finds that fire rod. This is not looking ideal.
Yeah, he seems to have very intentionally skipped one check here in Meyer because he's going to hookshot across to this chest right here. And then he's going to get the boss, and then he's going to have to make a choice. Do I go back in for the cutscene, which is where the only really interesting thing in this dungeon was? I'm not going to be able to count the flute at this point because we were able to get into the Meyer area via connectors. Or does he think, well, James didn't get many checks done in Swamp, we've still got a bunch of GT things on the table, it's probably just in one of those, right? We don't really want to do Meyer cutscene? Which is exactly what Garrison's doing right now.
There is still the possibility that Past the Picanha gets bailed out by a Bombos somewhere. Oh, never mind. Rule of Fire. Bombos is in
No, they're not
Palace.
going to get bailed out by that. And did Matty pull a pod big here? Because he definitely go-moded by the Ice H chest entirely. He just snagged that small key and went moving.
I didn't see, actually.
And he's got the Ice Palace big key, and he's not checking that. He has to have found that pod big. Either that or this is one of the weirdest mistakes in the history of ever. One of the two.
Hopefully our trackers can answer that definitively one way or another.
James in Rando room, pulling some dungeon items, a full heart container, not really anything that Past the Picanha is looking for. Tepe has got his Meyer clear, and he is leaving. He is not going to cutscene chest for that fire rod.
Oh no.
Maddie's going to go ahead and activate the flute. That plus the mirror does give you a reasonable amount of mobility. There aren't all that many places left to go, it feels like, but you're here, it's here. It's not the worst idea if you're kind of staring at your tracker and thinking, how do I want to route the end game?
Now, if this was go mode, what exactly is Norsk Maddie doing right now?
I would assume that he's heading for one of the bow dungeons, which are things he needs to do to finish the game.
Oh, he forgot that the whirlpool warp isn't here in the dark world.
Yeah, that whirlpool warp only exists in the light world, that particular one. You're not going to get there that way. James is working on Ice Armos, going to preserve his cash money by just hitting it with the Tempered Sword a bunch.
Okay, but this whirlpool warp, on the other hand... Yeah, that's the one he wanted. Okay, so he must have found that pod big somewhere, because he's going... Well, he could be going to GT.
Yeah, he could just be going to GT, though, since they're right next door to each other. Next door neighbors. Let's see which one he's heading into.
No, he's going to pod.
He's going to pod, okay. And Garrison's also going to activate the flute. James attempting to clean up tile room. He seems to be taking a lot of tile hits, down to 3 hearts. And I guess we can call that a vanilla small key.
Alright, well if we pay attention to Garrison, we should find out where that pod big was.
Either that or we're going to get a very interesting text box from Maddie here very shortly. Garrison cleaning up all of the pin gators and leaving the chest behind.
Muscle memory or something or the other.
You walk into the room and you have a strat for the room, so you just start doing the strat.
Well, here's Helma for Norsk Maddie, so...
Yeah, no, he got through the door, so very clearly he got that somewhere. It almost has to be here in the icebreaker chest.
And you are right. That's where it was.
So that is in fact go bowed for Ed was supposed to carry us. Maddie killing one of those bow dungeon bosses. He still has to clean up Eastern. Pod is going to be the last thing that Garrison gets. Either that or Skullwoods. I think he still has Skull to do.
I think that is correct.
And that's probably the reason behind the activation of the flute. These dungeons are in wildly different parts of the world, and you want to be able to clear one and then head to the next one relatively quickly.
Like that, exactly. James is into Meyer, but he's not stopping to check cutscene chest.
Well, he's not stopping to check it yet, but if he was going straight to the boss, he would have just gone through that door. I think he is going to check this.
Oh. Okay.
Unless he really wanted to preserve one more key for some reason. Which would be a very strange choice at this late date.
Oh, that's where Eastern was this entire time.
Yeah,
was
it
at the
was in the
pod
pod
entrance.
entrance.
Somehow every time somebody went in there, I happened to be looking away.
Well, there were only 4 runners to watch, and only one person was really going into Eastern at any particular time. It's very easy to miss.
Right, and that's Cold Stare down very easily for Garrison. This is going to be Crystal number 6 for him. Tepetino completing a fruitless foray into Swamp Palace. Going to be getting the bad news very shortly from his teammate. And Tepetino steps out of the portal and off he goes.
Yeah, as a teammate, you always hate to have to make that call or to hear that call. I did the cleanup check, and it's the thing we needed. But Tepetino's going to come rushing right back over here to Meyer. Maddie going to set up for a more conventional Armos quick kill.
He only needs to save 200 rupees for Ganon, and he's got 230, it looks like. And that is Crystal number 7. Norsk Maddie is our first runner to have acquired all 7 crystals, and he's going to be heading to the Lost Woods to face off with Ganon.
I do wonder, given how long he put off getting that tempered sword, if he couldn't have just put it off until right before the Ganon fight. Since it was in the Skullwoods big chest, and so he would have been essentially right on top of Ganon anyway. And then just mirror over.
That's true, but I'm guessing he wanted to have tempered, because he didn't know about the sword in Meyer.
It's entirely reasonable.
Alright, we have our first runner dropping into the Ganon fight.
Not even going to go for the tempered with butter strats, just going to put the golden sword to the pig and go ahead and wail away.
Alright, phase 3.
It's a pretty decent comfort level. You've got roughly NMG level hearts, you've got a better sword and the silvers, which you normally wouldn't have. You've even got the blue mail. This is... You never say the fight is free because you can always make a mistake, but this is about as easy as the fight's gonna get.
Oh, doesn't quite get the triple there, and he's going to have to resort to 3 spins here to finish off Ganon.
Yeah, it looked when he stopped Ganon like he didn't have enough room to get the third triple off, because as soon as Ganon hits one of the obstructions, one of the boundaries, you can't hit him more than once. And I think he had pushed him into the boundary, the northern boundary there, with the second hit. But go ahead and get your GGs in chat for Norsk Maddie, who is going to cross the bridge and be the first one of these runners done.
He will finish with an official time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 28 seconds. Meanwhile, Garrison just needs to go beat Skullwoods, and then he'll be on his way to Ganon as well. James picking up the pod big key. That will officially put his team into go mode.
You have to expect that Tepidino is going to get over there right after he finishes cleaning up the Eastern Palace. And the back of Skull Woods is a whole lot easier to get to now that you have the hook shot, because you can just cross over Death Mountain on this side and then get into the Dark World right here, thanks to the mitts.
Alright, a rather expensive Armos fight there for Tepidino, but he's still got just over 200 rupees left.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't want to spend any of them on Phase 2 Helmasaur, which is not necessarily a good use of resources when you have the 4th level sword, then he'll have plenty left over for Ganon, as long as he doesn't do something like what Maddie did.
He might pick up a few rupees on the way, but he does need to shoot a Mimic or two. Or, no, just one. One Mimic. Right, that's Cold Stare down for James. This is going to be crystal number... math is hard. 5?
5 if he is still missing thieves, which he might be. I don't recall that he went and cleaned that up at any point, but he may have. Again, it's difficult to keep track of all 4 players at once.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure only one of the runners had done Eastern and Thieves early on. Everyone else only had one of the 2, so this makes sense. Right,
and that is crystal number 7 for Garrison, who is going to go ahead and mirror and probably flute 3 and head for the pig. James, with a little bit of interesting retro play here, is at the 0 key mark because he spent 1 to go through the door to get onto this side of the dungeon. But he'll be able to recoup that as he's turning in the Maiden into Blind, because you can grab that key at the top of that hallway when he gets there.
Yeah, a minor piece of efficiency, but every little bit can count sometimes.
Normally at play, it's really only seen in Pilot Spoiler or Edge Case Go modes where you get the small key in the front before the big key. But it's something that can happen a little more often in a retro mode because of those universal small keys.
Right, Garrison is just about into Phase 4 of Ganon.
He has plenty of extra cash money to play with here. This should not be a problem as long as he doesn't decide to take a sudden flying leap into the pit. He was not even going to deal with that fire bat. He said, nope, you know what? I'm just going to wait this cycle out and go for the next one.
And that's well done. That is Ganon down for Garrison. And he will finish with an official time of 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds, just under the 2-hour mark.
Get your GGs in chat and put it in the books. Ed Was Supposed to Carry Us takes Game 1 of this Best of 3 series, this co-op reference game. And we are joined in the booth by Maddie and Garrison. Good game, gentlemen.
GG's.
It sounded in the race room beforehand like James was expecting this to be cursed nonsense, and everybody seems to agree this was pretty cursed nonsense. You wanna give us some of the highlights?
We just played Retrons, and that's a thing that happens in Retrons.
Yeah, I mean the mitts in the GT climb that you can't finish, even if you could hover, is great. And you can Moldorm bounce, but then you can't get the chest, so that's not really a great option either. Yeah, there's a lot of walking. Very aerobic seed. No boots for a large part of it, unfortunately. Yeah. GG's to James and Tepidino here.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we are joined by Tepe and James, and good game to you as well, gentlemen. That it felt linear in some parts, but the linearity was kind of bad.
No, there are two big things. First, I regret skipping a fire round. That 100% my fault. James and I were talking about this mode, and we still don't have a full grasp of it. Like, if you check, we got eliminated last season because of retrans. Our last loss was retrans. This one was retrans. So yeah, next opponent. Newsflash, in case we pass, in case we don't, or next year, I don't know, we study retrans. There we go.
Yeah.
The second thing is, this is something I've seen seed after seed after seed, and this seed screams it, that pseudo boots are required. No, I'm serious here. Actually serious. I was in a charity marathon this weekend, and I showed, hey, this is Crosties, but with pseudo boots, and we had some random players, and the consensus I got was basically, oh my god, this would be hell if you couldn't dash. So this is I'm fine with having the client being our doom again. I'm fine with skipping, but it's so frustrating. I was telling Harrison and North that I actually bought a lifetime pass through Hyrule Castle. The guards didn't even attack me anymore. They recognized me as one of their own. Because I passed there so many times, they didn't even care about me in this one.
That connector was definitely the MVP of this game. There is no doubt about it. Everybody was... It feels like every time we glanced across the screens, somebody out of U4 was traversing that particular connector.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. With the save and quit spots being where they were, no boots, no mirror, no hook shot, like...
That's the worst.
Around was so bad.
You're rolling Thursday, man. Just letting you know.
That's the worst early pearl I've ever gotten as well, because it was completely useless for a good part of the game.
Oh yeah.
But it could have been worse. At least we found early flippers. Imagine not having flippers to see.
We got our flippers pretty quickly too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it wasn't Shovel spot, and Shovel was in CAC. So it was super early to find. But still, oh my god. I mean, you let James roll the seed. What do you expect? Right, James?
Yup. Yeah, that one is... don't let me roll on Thursday. That's all I gotta say.
I think you should roll it. It's entertainment. We want content.
Yeah, James asked if we were ready for cursed nonsense, and I said yes, but actually I was wrong. I wasn't ready for that.
You have no idea my powers.
No, I have some idea now.
So apparently PH will make you roll it, and I second that. Yeah. Oh my god.
How cursed could one pilot key sanity seed be? We haven't seen any curse. Oh, we haven't seen.
We haven't, right? Yeah,
we've seen some real cursed ones this year.
Jeez.
Hold thy tongue, James, for I have seen many a cursed pilot spoil a seat in my time.
So I had a small victory. I made James pick up the Bugnet because I wasn't getting that alone. But for some reason that made him forget Ether. So we were quite worried for some time. It worked out fine.
Yeah, I didn't end up actually needing Ether, which is fine. But,
I mean, yeah, and
the bigger silly was not grabbing powder out of Blind Sight after you grabbed it. That was actual misery going back into GT after that.
How about that Lambo 2 with Master Sword and Hammer?
Well, that was so awful on my side. It was so bad.
Yeah, because I didn't want to use any money on arrow shots. So yeah, I was doing that with I did it twice because I beat the back of Desert too.
Yeah, on Desert, I did straight up Desert from GT. So I actually used bow on Desert. I was like, no, not now. Just die. Just get out of here.
That when Molas, I ended up having to use a potion and then just sword beamed it down from there.
That's what I did too. After I died the first time. Like I got in a position where I couldn't switch to potion fast enough before dying. It's in the second fight I just potioned up and used sword beams.
I managed to stay alive surprisingly long. It wasn't until the clear of Mire that I actually took a death, and it wasn't the worst one, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, Blue Link at the time and I both missed what actually happened to you in there.
I took 4 hearts of damage just picking up the flute and spike chest, and then dashing down towards where the jellyfish room is. I got sniped by the shooter, and then I was only on half a heart, so I went to powder the anti-fairy and took it to the face instead.
That would do it.
That's quite the comedy of errors.
It was not great. I was like hemming and hawing about even picking up that flute because I didn't want to take the damage, but it was the flute ended up making getting wood so much better.
I wanted him to do it. Well, I wanted him to pick the flute, not die. That's to be clear. But I talked him into picking up the flute, and then I felt bad because he died.
It wasn't like I said. It wasn't the worst death, but it still wasn't great.
Now, we have said Game 1 in the best of 3 series, and normally this is the part where I would ask the runners, well, what about Game 2? But, well, I'm on one of these teams, so I happen to know about Game 2, and I know that James has just submitted Game 2. That's going to be a Thursday evening affair. Then it's going to be Garrison piloting me, and James piloting PH, one of our trackers.
Yeah, whatever happens in that game, I'm going to get very drunk after one or the other. Just letting it out there. I'm going to be very, very inebriated after after that match. It's my birthday is on the 8th, so went out and celebrating.
Nice.
You're making sure that you're nice and hungover for your actual birthday then.
That's correct.
All right, cool.
I mean, he only gets hungover if he stops drinking.
True. That's how it works.
Let's not go that far.
I'm Brazilian, dude. All right, speaking of being Brazilian, it's got quite late here, so I am going to go. It's been a pleasure. I hope people had fun watching us. I mean, play Zelda that wasn't as good as Ed was supposed to carry us, but we tried. We tried our best. We promise. All right, a good night, everyone. GG's again, and hopefully I'll talk to you again for a game 3.
GG's again, Teppy.
Yeah, GG's, Teppy.
Bye-bye.
Yes,
I don't know,
GG's to you both.
were we playing Zelda there, or were we struggling through Zelda?
we were slow walking our way through.
Yeah, I was walking through Zelda mostly. I was taking a tour of Hyrule, a lot of Hyrule.
Now, Tepe already got out of here, but he was the one who took the Smith on perhaps one of the most interesting journeys in the history of any Smith World Tour.
That's exciting for him to get a little exercise and get to see the world. I always like when he gets to do that.
Yeah,
I
the
was
view
so
from
close
up on
to-
top of Bumper Ledge must be really nice, in the light world at least, not the dark world.
Yeah. I was so close to picking up the Smith there, and then when I'm like, now I have 2 checks and both of them are in dungeons where I can't take the Smith. It's just like, I guess I could have taken the Smith.
Yeah, you can
Either
take
way,
you can take the Smith as long as you're not like grabbing the crystal. You don't lose follower state.
Yeah, I think the thing that got me confused is normally if you're going into Skullwoods, which is exactly where I was going, and Skullwoods was vanilla, so it didn't like register as entrance to me, that the Smith tells you no.
Oh, it does tell you on the front of Skullwoods. Okay.
Well, in non-entrance.
Oh yeah.
Entrance-
An entrance he doesn't carry. He's just
Yeah. But I got it in my head that he did care, but Maddie and I ended up splitting up those checks anyway. There was really not anything else that we could do because that seed was so bad.
Yeah, the less I remember about this seed, the better. Yeah, don't let me roll. That's what we've learned today is don't let me roll seeds.
No, I've learned nothing. I'll continue to let you roll. So
That's fair. If you want to enjoy some asyncs for the upcoming 216 cross keys tournament, I've got a bunch of those up too.
Yeah,
if you want a real good taste of what I can provide to the community,
you're doing AV art too, right?
I will get those done tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Plenty of stuff.
I think our phrase for practicing for this kind of sums everything up. We were going on the mantra of the retrants will continue until morale improves.
All of our veterans practice has been absolutely cursed. Just technical problems, communications issues at times. Just I know we're gonna face this mode more if we do make it out of this round, so I better just accept it. But I'm not having a great time with veterans so far this year.
It's a tough mode. It's volatile too. Yeah.
And see, James, that's why I found teammates who would play it for me.
Listen, this is I'm up for any mode in this. There's no swordless this year, so I'm up for any mode that's available. It's just how our team decided things would work out.
Well, I would like to thank all of the runners for suffering through this for our entertainment. That is the real reason I'm here.
You
Thank
are
you
welcome.
for the comms.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you to the
Thank you for
trackers.
broadcasting this. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Kiff and PH doing the real work. They were the ones getting all of the tracking done because otherwise we would have been hopelessly lost.
Yep.
It was not until I think it was Maddie entered Eastern Palace in Go mode that Blue Link and I finally figured out where Eastern Palace was.
So you would have been as lost as the runners.
But yeah, that was an experience. It's only game 1, best of 3 series. Game 2 coming up Thursday evening. As for the rest of League, let me grab that schedule. Because we should have another couple of Open League matches starting up tonight, a 9 p.m. Eastern time. So in about half an hour, we've got the IPBJ time versus Crystal Roller Crew. Technically game 2, it's really game 1 because it was IPBJ's time pick. It's going to be Bitey, piloted by Jawsome Sauce, and Armlix, piloted by IB Karma in Pilot Spoiler. And then 10 minutes after that, because unlike Pilot Spoiler, everything else has to be on a 10-minute delay, we've got game 1 in co-op reference of Underachievers versus Where's My Meme Item. The IPBJ Time Crystal Roller Crew game is going to be on Speed Gaming 4, and the Underachievers meme item game is going to be right here on SG2. So if you need a little more Link to the Past Rando League in your life on this evening, or early morning, I guess we'd be getting to in some parts of the world, hang around here, wander over to Speed Gaming 4, pull them both up. That's a perfectly acceptable option as well. And then go to speedgaming.org/schedule for league, other things, all sorts of things that Speed Gaming puts on. It's not just Link to the Past Randomizer here, although sometimes during big tournament time it can feel that way. But yeah, here we are, Blue Link. I enjoyed it. It was fun. We got a couple of hours of entertainment here, and now I believe it's time for us to say goodbye, so I'm going to leave the final word to you.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Thank you again to our runners for putting on an excellent show. Once again, thank you to our trackers, our MVPs, for saving us multiple times. And thank you for everyone for tuning in, and hope to see you in the near future.